Hello, boys and girls. I hope you're ready for day 3 of our poetry lesson. Our learning goals. Students will describe the author's use of metaphors to add detail in poetry. We also will be working with similes. I can successfully use metaphors and similes to create a poem about my unique thumbprint. Let's review what we've discussed the last couple of days, the 5 elements of poetry. The 5 elements of poetry are figurative language, imagery, voice, ideas and content, and word choice. So let's go down and discuss what a metaphor is first. Metaphors combine or compare two things and show how they are alike or different. For example, he is a giant, comparing him to a giant. It's a direct comparison. Her eyes were sparklers in the night. Her eyes and sparklers. Those are direct comparisons. They do not use like or as. Whereas a simile does use like or as. Similes are special kinds of metaphors. Similes use like or as to compare things. For example, she swims like a fish, comparing her to a fish. He is sly as a fox, comparing him to a fox. And they use the words like or as. So, let's take a look at what you're going to do for an assignment. First of all, you're going to make a fingerprint poem. So your fingerprint is unique and special just like you. No one else in the world has a fingerprint like you, not your mom, your dad, your uncle, your brother, your sister, anyone else. So what I'd like you to do is take a marker or a pen or something that you have like that and take your thumb, and you're going to want to color on it pretty well. Make sure it's all even all the way across and up and down. And then you'll want to take a piece of paper or even a piece of Scotch tape and put it over the top of it and then push down. If it's paper, you're going to want to push down and roll around on it. If it's Scotch tape, you'll want to make sure that it's covered over the whole thing. You don't want to pick it up and put it back down. You'll just want to put it on there once and make sure that it's smoothed down over it, and then pull it off and you'll see your fingerprint. With the paper, you'll want to just lay it down flat. Don't pick it up and down, but roll it around and then pick your thumb up, and then you'll see your unique thumbprint. And you can see all these different swirls and lines and things on it. Then after you've done that, I want you to look super closely at your thumb. If you have a magnifying glass, that's outstanding. You can look at it closely that way. Then I want you to write a list of 6 to 10 things that it reminds you of. Those 6 to 10 things. Your poem will use similes, comparisons using like or as, and metaphors to compare your fingerprint to something it reminds you of. Begin your poem by describing your fingerprint. Each line following that should use words like or as to describe the print. At the end, give a clue to the reader that you are reading about your fingerprint. So let's go ahead and read the poem. My fingerprint, like a maze twisting and turning round and round, like the swirl of water going down the drain, like a bull's eye on a dartboard, like a road map with roads intersecting the land, full of mountains and hills with rocks tumbling by, canyons deep and wide, hard to jump across. No, it's just my fingerprint. So what I'd really like you to do is try and play around with putting as many similes and metaphors throughout your poem as you can and describing your thumbprint. So you'll need to take some time to look at it pretty closely and think about that. Remember, we said one of the 5 elements of poetry is word choice. So you'll want to think pretty hard about what kind of word choice that you'll put in here. So let's think about this in conclusion. In conclusion, that you are going to write a fingerprint poem. You want to make sure that you include one of the 5 elements of poetry, and that would be the figurative language. And the figurative language that we're going to use today are similes and metaphors. I'll drop a puzzle piece in Schoology and I will have the directions in there. If you have any other questions, please reach out to your teachers.